think about everything we've accomplished just the last few weeks. Gas prices hit a 4-year low. The last 4 jobs reports exceeded expectations. The stock market is reaching record highs. We have the lowest monthly border encounters in the history of the United States. Our NATO partners committed to spending 5%, not 2% of their GDP on national defense. We brokered multiple peace agreements and struck many more trade deals, more to come, significantly damaged Iran's nuclear program, and on July 4th, we did sign the One Big Beautiful Bill. The President signed it into law. It's the most consequential, transformational legislation ever considered in our lifetimes, and we got it done because the Republican Party delivered on the promises we made to the American people. And the President did as well. That list that I just mentioned barely scratches the surface. President Trump has promised the most, and has delivered now, the most successful first 6 months of any president in the modern era, and many argue probably in the history of this great nation.
I went back as far as Carter, and the statement is certainly true. I did my adult life. I got to vote in 1976, so I said, let's look at every 6 months of every presidential term beginning with 1976. And Donald Trump's first 6 months of his second term are far and away more significant and more positive than the first 6 months of Carter, of either of Reagan's terms, of H.W.'s term, of Clinton has 2 terms of, nothing happens. More significant than W's first 6 months, either first or second, more significant than Obama's first months, either first or second term, and of course Biden's first. Now, Biden and Obama spent a lot of money, but to no end other than inflation, and Obamacare did upend the American healthcare system and did great damage, so it was significant. But here I'm grading on things that we would do again, and we would do everything over exactly as it's happened in these first 6 months. I think they've been extraordinary. Now, I might separate on 1964. LBJ in 1964, which is first term, it's his second run at being president because he took over after the assassination of President Kennedy, and he got some stuff started. But in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that's not the first 6 months of his second term. That's the last 6 months of his, the last year of his first time in office. I don't know, it's not a term. He's president because he's taken over. And I don't know how to compare that because it's his first 6 months as being president, but it's not a term. So I don't know if it's sui generis. And the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is a magnificent accomplishment. It's the fulfillment of the Declaration of Independence. It's the fulfillment of the 14th Amendment. It's the most important piece of legislation of my lifetime. So, but he also got a lot of swings and misses that were just terrible, like the Great Society legislation, which was well-intentioned but stupid and didn't work out and created all sorts of perverse incentives that did great damage to the family in America. But I really do think, you go back to 1933 when FDR becomes president, and he got a lot done. A lot of it was unconstitutional and struck down. None of it ended the Depression. The only thing that ended the Depression was World War II, when everyone had to go to work to make tanks and airplanes and bombs and rifles. And mostly women went to work on our GDP soared with the weapons of war. We don't want to do that. We don't want to get out of this again. So I do think, at least in modern times, and that, I believe, starts with Teddy Roosevelt, modern times, the great white fleet that traverses the world. That's really modern time. I don't think you can actually argue with what the speaker said. But what do you think? Nancy in Montana, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to go along with House Speaker Mike Johnson. I believe him to be a very moral man, and I'm going to hang in there with my president. I voted for him. He's only been in office 6 months. You know, it took a long time for our country to get in the shape that it is, and it's going to take a long time to get it out of the condition that it's in. And I can see progress. I know a lot of people I've talked to don't really see it. They have their doubts about him. They still don't understand him adding to our debt ceiling, and that's one thing. And he mentioned amnesty, Mr. Hewitt, and they don't like that either. But I'm going to tell you, I think that President Trump is good at playing head games, psychological head games. When he mentions amnesty, he doesn't mean it for himself. He's trying to play head games with the progressive left to make him think that he might do this.
Oh, I think he's going to do regularization. I think he's going to get the Dreamers permission to stay and removed the cloud over their legitimate right to be in the United States, which does not exist because they came in illegally as children. But I think he's going to address that. I hope he does comprehensive immigration reform and that we regularize the good folks who have entered illegally, but that they never get to become citizens, not amnesty. But Nancy, thank you.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.